Now, the United Nations Security Council held a crucial meeting focusing on Russia's war in Ukraine. Since UNSC members were represented by foreign ministers rather than permanent representatives this time, it was the first direct encounter between U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, and Ukraine's Dmytro Kuleba. Addressing the Council, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Russia's invasion into Ukraine has threatened the international order. He urged the world to hold Russian President Putin accountable for the invasion. He added that the nuclear threat must stop immediately.
The very international order that we have gathered here to uphold is being shredded before our eyes. We cannot, we will not allow President Putin to get away with it.
At the council meeting, Russian foreign minister accused Ukraine of killing the people of Donbass. Sergei Lavrov said that Ukraine has been denying the people of Donbass their basic rights. Lavrov also rejected Western accusations at a United Nations Security Council session on abuses in Ukraine, calling instead for punishment of Kyiv's government.
That for over 8 years, the Ukrainian army and fighters from the nationalist formations killed and continue to kill inhabitants of Donbass with impunity simply because they refused to recognize the result of the coup d'etat in Kiev. They decided to uphold their rights, which were guaranteed by the Ukrainian constitution, including the right to freely use Russian, their mother tongue.
Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said that the country's position on Ukraine is consistent and clear. He added that Chinese President Xi Jinping has maintained that sovereignty and territorial integrity of all countries must be respected. He added that all efforts that could help resolve the crisis should be supported.
China's position on Ukraine is consistent and clear. President Xi Jinping pointed out that the sovereignty, territorial integrity of all countries should be respected. The purposes and the principles of the UN Charter should be observed. The reasonable security concerns of all countries should be taken seriously, and all efforts that could help resolve the crisis should be supported.
External Affairs Minister of India S. Jaishankar reiterated the country's position on the ongoing conflict. He stressed that the need of the hour is to end the conflict in Ukraine and added that the path of diplomacy is the most powerful. Talking of mass graves discovered in Bucha, India's foreign minister added that there can be no justification of human rights violations or of international law. He also called for an independent investigation into such matters.
India strongly reiterates the need for an immediate cessation of all hostilities and a return to dialogue and diplomacy. Clearly, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi has emphasized, this cannot be an era of war. Even in conflict situations, there can be no justification for violation of human rights or of international law. Where any such acts occur, it is imperative that they are investigated in an objective and independent manner. This was the position we took with regard to the killings in Bucha, and this is the position we take even today.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres told the Security Council meeting that talk of a nuclear conflict is totally unacceptable, and any annexation of a state's territory by another state through the threat or use of force is a violation of the United Nations Charter and international law.
La guerre menée par la Russie en Ukraine ne montre aucun signe de répit. Les 7 derniers mois ont été marqués par une souffrance et une désolation indicibles. Les événements récents sont dangereux et alarmants. Ils nous éloignent de toute perspective de paix et nous rapprochent d'un cycle sans fin d'horreur et de carnage. Je l'ai dit et je le répète, cette guerre insensée peut faire des dégâts infinis en Ukraine et dans le reste du monde. L'idée d'un conflit nucléaire, autrefois impensable, est aujourd'hui évoquée par certains. Rien que cela est totalement inacceptable. Tous les États dotés d'armes nucléaires devraient de nouveau s'engager à ne pas les utiliser et à les éliminer progressivement de leur arsenal.
WION correspondent Susan Teherani is now joining us live from New York for more on the United Nations Security Council Forum. Hi, Susan. This forum was kind of different, with the presence of the ICC prosecutor Karim Khan telling the Council that they are sending more staffers to investigate allegations emerging from eastern Ukraine. But Secretary Blinken's statement that the world should not let Putin get away with it reverberated in the hall. Tell us more about the U.S. stance on the Ukraine war at the Security Council.
This was the, I'm sorry, I'm looking behind me because I may have to stop any minute since there may be a press conference. This was the first high-level meeting ever regarding Ukraine, ministerial level, since the war started. On the one hand, it was also the first formal meeting specifically focused on accountability in Ukraine. As you rightly mentioned, the French Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs, Catherine Colonna, chaired the meeting. Antonio Guterres really expressed concern about human rights violations and also the civilian loss that has been inflicted on both sides. ICC prosecutors really went out of his way to say that what he saw in visiting Ukraine was not a quote-unquote fake. That's something that the Russians have sometimes regarding what has been happening during the war, that the images have been fabricated, so on and so forth. But I do want to say that council dynamics regarding Ukraine are very complex, notably regarding accountability. And while all member states agree that there has to be some form of accountability, an independent UN investigation into war crime allegations in Ukraine, they all agree that they're hesitant, so to say, to accuse Russia for what's happening in Ukraine and accuse Russia for committing those atrocities. They say that they're waiting for a conclusion of a full and transparent investigation at this point. But yes, a very significant meeting, a ministerial level meeting, and also the first one that's really focused just on accountability.
All right, live from New York, our correspondent Susan Teherani reporting live. Thank you. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.